Tamlin. Okay? Tamlin. Hi everyone. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, King Kamala 39. This is clearly what we're gonna be talking about today, baby. I got into it. I got into ACOTAR. And I know I took like a 2-week break. It's the beginning of a new year. I've been going week after week after week after week after week, pumping out YouTube videos, and I'm tired. I got tired, okay? I got burnt out. I needed those 2 weeks to myself, and honestly, it was about to be 4. I was gonna take the whole month off, but I really wanted to talk about ACOTAR with you guys. Technically, this is book 2. I had already done a video on book 1, kind of just doing my thoughts and feelings after I had finished. I'm slacking this time. I'm halfway through book 3, but it's okay, because I remember how I feel about this book. So far, this one is my favorite. Tamlin. Okay? Tamlin. Okay? Alright. But Rysand, I don't know how to pronounce his name, and honestly, I'm just gonna go with the one that sounds nicer at this point. Let me introduce the look first. Let me get my head in order, my head straight. I decided to try and create like a makeup look or whatever, little outfit vid based on the night court where my man lives. Yeah, so Sarah J Maas, she's done it again.
Girl, you have done it again. Constantly raising the bar for us all and doing it flawlessly.
Little backstory about me, I guess. When I first wanted to create a YouTube channel, it was gonna be a book review vlog. When I was in high school, I really wanted to make like a book review vlog. Oh my gosh. So one of my resolutions was to read more. So I was like, what better a series to try and read than ACOTAR? Because I need fantasy. First of all, it has to be nonfiction. I am not about to sit there and try and read a history book and count that up. No, absolutely not. And it just, technically I read a lot last year. It just wasn't solid books. It was fan fiction.
Cut the cameras. Dead ass.
I read at least 3 that were like entire completed works series, okay? So I read a lot last year in 2023. It counts. But I was like, you need to get off your phone. So you're gonna buy a hard copy book and you're gonna read it. So this is book 2. If you want to go check out my other review of book 1, check it out. So I'm not gonna go back into what book 1 was about, but okay, maybe a little bit. Backstory. ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses is the series name and also book 1's name. This is A Court of Mort. Book 2 is A Court of Mist and Fury, and right now it's my favorite. I'm halfway through book 3. Book 2 was basically, I'm gonna summarize it as quickly as I can because this is more review than summary, please. Book 2 is basically about after Tampon. That's what I call him. Is YouTube gonna censor that? Tamlin. After T, that man from book 1, basically locked her up and was like, it's for your own good. I watched you die. I don't want to see that happen to you again. He locked her up, which is like her biggest trauma. And Rysand, Rice, whatever his name is, Reese. I'm gonna call him Reese. He saves her. So she's like walking down the aisle. Tamlin and her are about to get married, walking down the aisle, and Reese comes and busts up the wedding and saves her. That's where book 2 starts. So he kidnaps her again. This girl loves to be kidnapped, apparently. I don't know if she's giving off pheromones that say, come get me. Men love to steal her. So Reese comes, he takes her back to the night court. Everyone thinks that the night court is just the court of nightmares, which is like terrible. They think it's all awful, but they basically have this little safe haven. This, like, if you're into Greek mythology, they have like an Elysium. It's like a perfect little world that's been untouched by that Amarantha, who was a terrorist from book 1. Okay, go read that review if you want to see more about what the hell I'm talking about. Right, this is a book about fairies and fae people, not like Tinkerbell. Like, how do I explain it? They're like people. They look human, but they have elf ears. and they can fly and they have superpowers, okay? That's what fairies are. And they live a lot longer. They're basically immortals compared to us. So they view themselves as a higher life form. So basically book 2, it's about Feyre. That's the main character's name. That's the girl whose point of view we get up until this book. And basically her becoming a part of the Night Court, kind of against her will at first. And she's thinking at any turn these guys are going to kill her, because they've been introduced as villains by the Spring Court from book 1 and basically by all the other courts. We get introduced to this, is this true? We also get introduced to the Summer Court in this book. Am I tweaking? Yeah, it's this one, it's not book 3. And honestly, that would have been my favorite. I'd have been out of there. The minute they took me from Velaris to Adriata, the Summer Court, I would have been gone. They would have never heard from me again. Are you kidding? A tropical paradise? Well, I imagine it's tropical, but a paradise of just summer and sun and sea? Girl, I'd have been out of there. So without giving away too many plot details, book 2 is about her becoming a part of the Night Court, and it ends off with her becoming the High Lady of the Night Court. A little background of the fairy people, fae life. They don't like women that much. So there's never really been a high lady. They call them high lords, the rulers in this world. There've only been men that we've been introduced to, that I've been introduced to as of right now. Even where I am in book 3, there've only been men. But Rhysand, oh, my man, decided to crown her high lady instead of consorts, which is what they usually call like the women they marry, the high lords. And yeah, she becomes High Lady of the Night Court by the end of book 2. And there's a big fight at the end. And she ends up being carried back into the Spring Court by that man. Because that man, he who shall not be named, basically was convinced that because Rhys, what's his name? Because Rhysand kidnapped her. He did kidnap her, but because he kidnapped her, he assumed that any time she spent away from Tamlin, Feyre, was against her will. He basically believed that she was hostage the whole time, but by the end of this fat book, they fell in love. So now she's with him, and Rhysand proved to be a better partner than that wretched man ever could have hoped to be. Somehow, the scary, big, scary, dark king and lord ended up giving her more freedom than she ever had in her life. He was all about her making the choice to be with him, unlike Tampon, who was all about, look, this is for your own good. Hey, don't talk. Sit there and be pretty. Oh, you lost weight? You look good. Even though she's been starved half her life. Why would you tell someone who's used to starving that they look better, smaller? Don't get me started on that man, please. Anyways, as for the book review, I don't know if anything I just said made sense to you guys. If you click on this video, it's probably because you already read it. I hope. I sincerely hope. But I just love a good story about... if you read fanfiction, I love the trope of... God. I used to read a lot of fanfiction on Tumblr when I was younger. This is getting real close to the dark days, the alpha, the omega crap. At least they never said the word omega, but the mating bond, hey, it's getting to me a little bit. It is. She calls him her mate every 2 seconds after she finds out. Every other sentence, my mate, my mate, my mate, my mate. It's like triggering my 14-year-old brain, except not in a good way. Not in a good way. I've fought long and hard to become a properly functioning member of society that has moved past the dark ages of 2014 Tumblr fanfiction. Please, don't drag me back into it. So I looked up a little something about Sarah J. Maas, because I was like, you write fanfiction. Deep in my heart and soul, you wrote fanfiction, I know it. She did. She started off as a Sailor Moon fanfiction writer. Doesn't that make so much sense if you have read this and you clicked on this video? Anyways, all that to say, I just wanted to get my thoughts and feelings about book 2 out of the way. Because, I mean, depends when I finish A Court of Wings and Ruin. I'm at page 379 and I'm only about halfway through. I think this one has about 700 pages and this one had 600 something. I do not want to flip to the last page of that book and check, because I have a problem where if I see the last page, I will read it. And if I get spoiled again, I did it with this book, I'm gonna be annoyed. I think I'm actually gonna be annoyed. I want to just see what happens for once in my life. So yeah, I gave the first book a 4 out of 5 in my mind. Like, I finally downloaded Goodreads to actually keep track of the books I read this year. So in my mind, I had given the first book a 4 out of 5 because when I first read it, I thought it was really good. But it's only now that I see that the fandom doesn't like it. And I get why. Because he's the worst man. And he's so present. On every page. I hate him with all my heart. But Resend, also, this is like a better written book. This is a much better written book in my opinion. I had read Throne of Glass first when I was maybe 15, 16. That's when I was first introduced to Sarah J. Maas. So this was before TikTok, before Book Talk became a thing. It was a popular book. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I knew it before anyone else did. No, it was already popular by that time, especially on Tumblr. But I remember that one. As of right now, that one is still my favorite because I loved the main character. I loved her down. Feyre is very compelling. She's a very good character. I enjoy reading her, but she just does some things sometimes that's so stupid, which doesn't make her a bad character, but I have to keep reminding myself that she's like 19. She's only been in love once before this, so like her happiness, like the parts that irritate me is like, okay, she's 19. Well, she's 20 now. But okay, she's young. Okay, she's young. Okay, she's very young. She's barely a teenager. She's barely a 20-year-old. But that's just like my personal issues with it. It is a very good book. It was a good book to start rereading, to get back into reading hard books. What else? So oh my god, I skipped over a lot of plot. There's this big bad king, the king of Hybern, who basically wants the humans back as slaves, and he wants the territory that the High Lords took from him back. So he's he's the big bad villain. Amarantha, who was the villain in book 1, was only one of his generals, and she was a demon. So he's worse. He's got to be the devil incarnate. So there was remember the big old fight when I said that Tamlin ended up coming back and kidnapping Feyre? He made a deal with that big bad man, King of Hybern, just so he could get Feyre back. He was gonna burn the world down just to get a woman back, like a prize. No. You might be thinking, oh, that's so romantic. It is not! Not coming from him. Oh, also, I forgot to say that I crocheted this in another video. I put this outfit together to feel like I'm part of the night court a little bit. Maybe just like, I don't know. What would I be? I would be high fae, obviously. My human ears are hidden right now. I would just be lounging on a nice summer day in Valaris with this outfit on, yeah? Never mind the fact that the reason my hair is covered is because my braids are getting old and fuzzy. We just gotta be creative with it, yeah? So, spoiler warning, spoiler alert. Big spoiler alert for, up to book 2. Book 3 and on, even though I'm in book 3 technically, there's no spoiler warning. I didn't talk about book 3 much. But I did mention the big bad man. I haven't mentioned anything about, like, okay, I'm gonna stop talking because then I'm just gonna go into what book 3 is about. But yeah, I 10 out of 10 would recommend if you love fantasy, if you love fae people. If you're into fantasy, you probably have heard of fae. And if you love like the mating bond romance, me, I love romance. I love reading. But sometimes it bothers me. Like there has to be a very delicate balance of actual plot to romance for me. And I've gotten a higher tolerance for romance over the past few years since I read Throne of Glass, because I actually used to just skip the scenes Because not that I didn't like reading it, it's just that here's the thing. If I'm gonna go to Tumblr and I'm just gonna read fan fiction. But if I want plot, I want plot, you know? But I think she does a good job of balancing the two. She does. Sometimes I just didn't have the patience for it. That was just a me problem, not her. She's a good writer. What else? Oh, my rating for book 1 now would probably be a 3 out of 5. And not because of her writing. Just because I had to be accosted with that man's name every 2 pages. I'm tempted to knock a star off this book just because she calls him my mate every 2 seconds. And book 3, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna knock points for that. I would give this one like a 4.5 out of 5. I really liked this. As of right now, I honestly would give this higher, like a 4.8. But I don't want to mark it my favorite because I don't know how it ends yet. I still have to finish the book. So yeah, period. Anyways, thank you guys for coming with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. It clearly was not my most thought out one, but it was fun. Subscribe to my channel. Check out my review of book 1 and my video where I crocheted this. Clearly you can see my channel's all over the place, but you're here for me. So you're gonna sit down and you're gonna listen to all of my interests because I am the Lord and ruler of this nation. Thank you very much. Anyways, until we meet again, bye.